Cam Schlittler's got a little inflammation in his mid-back, so probably keep him off the mound for the next few days at least. He's going to continue to throw, no issues there. So he's continuing with his throwing program, just something we're trying to just stay ahead of.
When did he first start feeling this, and what tests were done, if any?
Yeah, he had the test done and kind of came back good news. So just want to make sure we don't turn this into something else. He's felt little tweaks here and there, but has been doing his lives. He's one of those guys that's already done 2-ups in lives, and so I don't think it'll slow him that much. But we just want to make sure we don't, turn it into something else.
Based on what he did when he came up to the big league club last year, how would you describe him as what he means to that rotation potentially, especially early on with some of those other injuries?
Yeah. Look, obviously we're very excited about him and expect him to be a key part of our rotation and still expect that from jump.
And what did you think of Heel?
I thought Louis was good. A good day of progression for him. It's the third live I've seen of him. The first two, the last week over at Himes, and today I thought was another step better. Thought he was behind the ball better, ticking up in the right level of velocity, sitting there 94, 95. I thought it mixed in good change and sliders, so I thought it was a really good day for Louis.
Brendan.
So how long has this been a thing for Cam?
It's really kind of minor, so it's something that he kind of feels. So he's been, get some treatment, and it hasn't really slowed him. But we kind of just said, hey, you're kind of ahead of the schedule in the progression standpoint. Let's not turn this into something.
Do you?
Yeah.
Who else? Great.
Aaron, you talked a little bit about this offseason, but with the ABS, and you guys had a meeting with it this morning. Have you figured out what your plan is for who can and can't use those challenges?
Well, we'll set that more in place when we get ready to break camp, and then probably continue to evolve with it throughout the year. We've done a lot of work on it behind the scenes, a lot of meetings and stuff this winter, just kind of going through it and trying to tighten it. So, feel like right now we're in a pretty good place with it as far as, trying to continue to educate our players and just, understanding leverage and things like that. So everyone's free to challenge right now. And, we'll see how it continues to unfold.
Chris still left.
I don't know if you saw, but in the last hour, the owners voted to enforce base coaches to be in their box this year. How do you think that's going to impact you guys at all?
Yeah, I don't think so. It's probably a good thing just to regulate that. We talked about that at the winter meetings in our managers meeting. So, I knew that was something that was coming. So, overall, I think it's probably a good thing, just for the competitiveness of the game.
Gary.
Back issue aside, Cam's coming off a career high workload. Same with Max. Same with a few other guys. Do you do anything different with them in camp this year? Just knowing that?
Not really. I mean, it's more just, as we talked about, even going through last year with some of these guys. It's just, you're able to quantify things a lot more, in every way. From their pitches, from their, force plate stuff. They're able to track their workload and things like that. So you pay close attention to all that stuff, and if you have to curtail or alter, you do. But I think, again, even in Cam's case, they're all in pretty good spot right now as far as their build-up and what it's looked like.
Randy, do you have one? Go ahead.
Have you seen your Rule 5 pick Winquist throw yet? And what's your thoughts on him and the task he's trying to do, make the roster, a guy that has not pitched against Double-A? Obviously, you love his arm and potential.
Yeah, good athlete, big arm, big fastball, really good curveball, working on the slider still. Feel like there's something there. He's going to get a real opportunity this spring to kind of showcase and let us see him. But he's somebody that we've liked his arm, I know for the last couple of years and paying attention to him, and I think it's been a long time since we've taken a Rule 5 guy, and we felt like it was warranted with him.
Ron.
From what you've seen with your eyes and also the data you've looked at, do you expect Aaron to be one of the bigger beneficiaries of ABS and not having those low pitches called strikes on him?
I don't know if I look at it so much as the low. I look at it as our guys that are really good at controlling the zone. It should benefit, and Aaron is certainly one of those guys that controls it real well, knows it real well. So I would say hopefully he is one of those guys that benefits from it. But I think there's a number of guys on our team that will.
Brian.
Max was in here before. What was your takeaway from watching him work for a full year?
One of my favorites to get to manage. When a star player like that comes in and signs a big deal, and he's everything you could have hoped for. Certainly between the lines, I think his performance speaks for itself. But who he is, immediately fit in really well with these guys. He's, there's a humility to him for being a great player. He's really accountable. It's he's another one of many in there that's a really outstanding example, and he has in short order become a really important part of our culture in there.
I'm sorry, Chris.
With Luis, obviously it was a challenging year for him last year with
Yeah.
the injury and coming back and having some rough outings. From what you've seen so far this offseason and the reports you've gotten, do you think he can get back to the 2024 version of himself?
I absolutely can get back to it. Now he's got to do it, but I think he's had a really good winter as far as just strength and conditioning wise, and getting himself in a good place, ready to come in, and then he's that talent hasn't gone away, and he's a young man that's still that you can tell is very hungry right now, and he wants to go out and prove that he's that guy that he was in 24. And in my eyes, today was, again, we're here in February, an encouraging step in kind of his build up and what I've seen of his first few lives now. So hopefully we can continue to build on that, because when he's right, obviously he can go out and dominate an outing.
Aaron.
Are you as comfortable with your pitchers challenging as your position players or catchers? Quite a few managers during the winter meeting said their inclination was that they would not have or allow their pitchers to challenge.
Yeah, I'm not at the point of not allowing pitchers. I am less comfortable. Definitely, I think catcher probably number one, with who I'm the most comfortable with challenging. Then hitter, then pitcher, probably in that order. But that being said, at this point, I'm not taking it away from any of our pitchers. I think it's more educational and, making sure that they understand, kind of who they are, what the first couple of years of this has looked like, in the minor leagues and in spring training. So, we'll have certainly a strategy behind it, and try and constantly be out in front with them as far as so they know in the moment as best we can, yeah, this is good for me to challenge, or no, it's probably more on the catcher. So, but we'll see.
Anyone else? Gary?
Rosario was playing some outfield earlier, relatively speaking. Do you see that being regularly in the mix for him, and just how comfortable are you with him out there?
Yeah, it's got to be in play. So, it will be something that I want him to do, to be able to, in a pinch, get out and play the corner. He did it a couple times last year for us. So, yes, I want it part of what he's doing.
And is he still going to work at first base, or is that kind of mitigated?
Yeah,
by Goldschmidt?
It's probably less of a need, but I'll still want him to mix in over there. Like, I want him getting his reps at third and second and first, and then in the corners in the outfield. So, he's pretty good at he's got really good work habits and a really good routine that he does to make sure he's ready. But yeah, I want outfield at least part of that mix.